This is Dave, and today's big hairy idea is the power of agency. So this week, Jews around the world are reading the story of Noah and the Ark. And what's interesting to me as a teacher is that no story in the Bible seems to get as much friction about did it happen, did it not happen, as Noah and the Ark. You'd think that would happen about the creation story, which is even so much more beyond our ability to comprehend. And of course, whenever it comes to people talking about evolution or creation, they talk about that. But in terms of the biblical stories themselves, it seems like this story people have a hard time getting away from the physics, the whole ideas of it, the animals coming to the boat. It's such a famous story, but people struggle with it. And people keep coming to me telling me, I don't buy that it happened. Like, how is it that we could have this boat with the animals? I don't buy it. This Bible stories, they're all stupid. They're all nuts. And giving me that as a reason why they're just not interested in reading these things and reading these stories and learning from them. And that always drives me nuts. I want to tear my hair out from it because to me, there's so many lessons embedded in these stories. It's not about did it happen, did it not happen. There were millions of things beyond doubt that happened during the biblical period. And almost none of them were written down. Most of them were really, really dull. Farmer Bob went out and, checked his chickens and, harvested his wheat, whatever it happened to be. And, he went home that day and his wife made bread. Okay, you know what? We don't need to read about that a million times. It's not an interesting story. We don't have a lot of embedded lessons in there. We didn't write that down. The things we wrote down were not just historical events. They were things that have a lot to teach us. And they're meant to be really archetypes for understanding things in this world, not to study history of what happened back then. They all are embedded with tons of messages. And this story, I think, more than just about any of them. So first of all, point number one, God just created an entire world in 7 days. In fact, the seventh day, he took off. Created an entire world in 6 days. So why does God need Noah to build a boat? If God wants a boat, God should be able to say, let there be boat. And there is boat. Just like with the whole light thing. But God didn't say, let there be boat. God said, Noah, I want you to build a boat. So why? Well, one of the understandings is simply this, that God didn't really want to destroy the entire world. But the process of building a boat should have been a sign of the destruction. In fact, another story that has a boat is the story of Jonah, where he on the boat, jumps off, swallowed by the whale, and he goes to the city of Nineveh, which God says it's going to destroy. And after time, people listen to Jonah and they say, oh, wow, you're here to tell us that our city is going to be destroyed because of what we've done? Okay, we need to change that fast. And that was the type of dialogue that God intended Noah to have with the people. It says that Noah took like 100 years to build the ark. And if you're building a gigantic boat on dry land, you'd think people would come up to you and say, hey, Noah, what you doing? There's no water for your boat. This thing's gigantic. You're never going to be able to pick it up and move it. Why don't you build it near the ocean? And he'd say, it's not about a boat on the ocean. It's about because God is going to flood the entire world and destroy all of you people because of all these things you're doing. And people are like, because of what I'm doing? He's like, yeah, because of what you're doing. It's like, well, I don't want to die. I got to make some changes in a hurry, don't I? It's meant to be a sign, a dialogue, a point of departure from the behaviors that people were doing. Noah, we say, didn't go out and use it that way, however. Noah kind of put his head down, got to work building the boat, and built the boat for the 100 years. And unlike Jonah, who actually told the people, look, you better change your ways, it's coming, the people didn't. They didn't get the message from Noah, but it was meant to be a sign and meant to be a point of discussion. Another lesson, which I think is amazing from this week's story, is this idea that we were talking last week about how we're really co-creators in this world. That's what it means to be created in the image of God. We're also creators. But creation and destruction go hand in hand. So does preservation. And so it's important to know that though God could have saved all of the animals, like God wanted all the animals saved, our role as co-creators meant that it wasn't enough for God to just save all the animals, that the animals needed to be saved through us. It was a very clear point of we are the vehicle for preservation in this world. Noah, you, the human, you're in a different role from all of these animals. You are the preserver of this entire world because of that unique role that you have vis-a-vis all of nature. So you, the representative of all of humanity, you need to take upon yourself to save not just humanity, all of the all of the animals, all of nature. This all falls on your shoulders because you, unique amongst all the creations of the world, are the one that has the capacity to create and destroy. So you need to be the preserver. When I'm going to bring destruction, you need to look out and make sure that everything in this world that I want preserved is preserved. Because that is what it means to be part of the humans. You are the ones who are overseeing the entire world. You've got dominion over the entire world, but don't think that means that it's all yours to do with as you choose. It means that bad kings are the ones who go and lead and look at everybody as their servants who have to do whatever they want. Good kings are the ones who say, wow, I've got this responsibility over this entire nation that is under me. I've got to look out for all of these people. I've got to be providing for all of them. I've got to make sure they've got food, they've got housing, they've got shelter, that the army is protecting them so they don't get killed. I, as the leader, need to be looking out for everybody beneath me. We talked about that during the Shvirata Omer course that we did between Passover and Shavuot. That this whole idea of Malchut, of kingship, is very much about having ownership. It's very much about having responsibility on your shoulders and taking agency to look out for everybody under your dominion, under your care. And I think that is really just an essential element of this story of Noah's Ark. Don't get stuck in, did a guy really build a boat? Could all those animals really fit in? No, well, to fit all the animals in the world, the boat would have had to be this big, and it was only this big, like you'll find in some articles online. Really think, what does it mean to be human? That's what this story is about. What does it mean to be a human being in the world? It means that you are the most intelligent creatures in the world. You're the one most capable of doing things in the world. But you're also the ones capable not just of creation, but of destroying. Therefore, you, as human beings, have to take it upon yourselves to protect all in the world. You need to be the ones who look out for everything that can't look out for itself. You need to take agency because it's a partnership between humanity and God, is the way the biblical stories set this up. It's a partnership. God exists in the overarching, but we're the ones who actually have to carry out the mission of preserving all of creation, day to day, week to week, year to year. That's part of our role, is to make sure that everything exists in this world in a harmonious balance. And if we don't step forward and do it, it won't last.